If there's something in their yard that the goats can climb on, they will. So if they want them protected, we're gonna have to fence around them. The biggest concern in this yard is this fence right here. We have a street right behind it, and then this one is only about 4 feet tall, and in some places you can see the ground kind of goes up. That's something where the goats would be tempted to jump up on this wall. If this were a mesh wire fence, they wouldn't have that temptation. 4 foot would probably be fine, but because it's a wall, it looks like something fun to get on and climb and run around on. So we'd have to come in here and fence this off. And here's another concern. So the homeowner is a Saab collector and he restores these. The goats are gonna get up on those. No matter what, they're gonna think that's like a lot of fun to climb and run around on. Now, what kind of damage they would do? Maybe they wouldn't do anything, but like I tell every customer, if there's something in their yard that the goats can climb on, they will. So if they want them protected, we're gonna have to fence around them. Now, typically in backyards, we will use their water. So if they've got a spigot or a hose bib on their house, that's the water that we use. In this particular situation, there's no water here at the property, so we'd have to bring water. So that's gonna be an additional charge for them as well. Now, before I ever go and look at a property, I will have given the owner a baseline bid of what it's gonna cost at a minimum based on the pictures they send me and the address. This way, I at least know that I have a warm lead before I spend the time to go out and actually look at the property. And with this preliminary bid, I also inform the customer that things could go up based on something like this wall. From the pictures I saw, I could not tell how tall it was. So upon physical inspection, I realized that we're gonna have to bring in more fencing to keep the goats in. And in the pictures the owner sent me, he didn't show me these cars. So we're gonna have to fence those off as well. All right, so now I'll go and I'll do all the calculations with the measurements I took, and then I will create the formal estimate for them. I'll send that to them, and if they choose to go forward, then they'll accept the estimate, and then we'll work on scheduling a date for the goats. Or they might just say, sorry, that's too much. It happens. On this particular job, I gave the landowner a preliminary bid. Now, my baseline bid was $650, and that gives the owner the opportunity to go, well, that's just way out of my budget. That way, I'm not going and wasting time doing an on-site bid, and then they're not going to take the job anyway. So at a baseline of $650, he was like, yeah, let's go ahead and meet up and let's take a look at it. As you saw in the video, I went and I looked at the walls, the cars, and some other things that were there. So on top of the $650, we have a linear foot price that I charge for fencing. Typically, I will give somewhat of an allowance for people to protect things like a tree or a rose bush, something like that, some small things. But I do charge like a $35 fee for each one of those protective enclosures that I have to do. And those are small ones because we only can carry so much on our trailers. When it gets beyond that, then we have to look at charging a per linear foot price, because that means that I'm going to have to bring additional fencing, and it generally is with another crew or myself, or someone will have to go prior to the goats getting there to set all that up. So it's a little bit more labor intensive. So on this job, that wall that we were looking at that borders the street that we've got to protect is 135 feet. So we have 135 feet of linear fence that we've got to put up there at $3.50 a foot. Additionally, we had those cars that we saw. We're going to have to fence around those. That was an additional 76 feet of fencing. And then I mentioned that this particular property did not have water yet. So we're going to have to haul in a water tank, a pump, and then water troughs, and then fill those up and make sure that we're watching that, making sure that the goats have water. So that's an additional charge of $150. So I have a total of 211 linear foot of fencing that we have to put in and put up. So that comes out to $738.50. And we have the $150 water charge, plus the $650 base bid that we have, plus tax. So the total bid that I've got to send to this customer, $1,655.89. So now all I have to do is send off the bid to them and see if they accept it. Now my prediction is it's going to be a little bit too high and they're going to decline. But who knows? We'll see. Well, my prediction was right. After several days of waiting for a response, I got zero. I got crickets. So I sent a follow-up message to them to say, hey, just checking in, see if you got the bid, what you thought. And what did I get? More crickets. I will assume that with zero response, that means that they were not happy with the bid and they are not going to hire my goats. And that's just the way it goes. We don't get them all. We get as many as we can. But don't worry, I've got several more properties to look at, several more estimates to give out, and we're going to get more jobs for the goats. So in the meantime, have a good day.